Yep. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to order the regular town council meeting for the town of Hudson for January 5th at 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Stadler. Here. Councilmember Knoll. Here. Councilmember Chavez. Here. Councilmember Hammock.
Here.
Councilmember Warren. Councilmember Biskins.
Here.
And Mayor Hardress.
Here. Are there any additions to the agenda? Jen, that's you.
Processing. No, there are no
Okay.
additions.
All right, and point in our meeting for citizens' comments. Anybody wishing to address the council on anything that's not already on the agenda may do so at this time. Step forward to the podium, state your name and address and what you'd like to discuss. No, it's just you guys.
Good afternoon. I'm Marco Gonzalez. Came with my dad. We live in 2886 County Road 41. And we come with an idea that we want to execute in our property. Because previously we tried opening a business, this trailer parking, where we can rent parking spaces for trailers, trucks, or other equipment. But that idea fell through due to problems with water, since we have a well and stuff like that. And now that we've got a new idea, we want to start using our property for what we think it's for and start like making a business or whatever. And the new idea is kind of big, but we thought that maybe we could use our shop, since we have a shop or like a barn, to start planting marijuana plants. And I did read on our municipal code for Hudson that recreational marijuana was totally like prohibited to sell, to grow, and all that stuff. And we were wondering if there's some way we could go about that to change the code just in our zone. We don't want to change it in all of Hudson. Obviously, I don't know if that's possible, but if it is, we would like to try that. And if not, we would like to try growing recreational instead of medical, since there is no mention of that in any code or any law. And we were wondering if that could work as well. I assure you that we think it's a good business idea, because I don't think it'll harm anyone. We're not planning to sell it here. We don't even use it. We just thought it was a good enterprise to enter. We're gonna try to sell it to dispensaries in Denver. And obviously there's the smell concern and everything. We're pretty sure that we can control that with carbon filters. I've done extensive research in all of this. I'm pretty good at, I assist the Colorado School of Mines. I think I have a good background with labs, with botanical growings, biology and all that stuff, which is what I'm learning. And I think I can control all the smells. I can control all the chemistry that goes into it, and do with the neighbors. I think we can get the green light with them as well, because we won't be affecting them at all. I think it's going to be just going to be indoor. We're not going to be using our well water either. We're going to be transporting it in, because we know there's a few problems with that sometimes with water rights and stuff. And I don't know, we thought it was a good idea, and I think we could have it under control if you guys would allow it.
It's not so much that we would allow it. It was put to a vote to the citizens, and the citizens said no. So you're right. There is no marijuana growing, sales, or processing within the city limits or the town limits of Hudson.
Yes.
And I don't think that is going to change anytime soon.
Will there be any way we can start a movement to change it, like put in the next voting?
You can
Something like that.
you can try to put a petition in, see if you can get people to sign it to put it on the ballot again. But it's got to go through the citizens, and they have to agree. And I hate to tell you, I don't think they're going to agree.
Yeah, that's what we thought. Well,
Keep thinking of some uses for your property though. And like I said, if you want to
Absolutely.
try to put that on the ballot, you are more than welcome to do so. That's what you can do as a member of the public and a citizen of the town. That's completely up to you.
okay. Well, sounds good. Thank you for your time.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go.
Anybody else? Okay, consent agenda. Did everybody get a chance to read the consent agenda? And if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Councilmember Nault,
Yes.
Councilmember Stadler,
Yes.
Councilmember Hammack,
Yes.
Councilmember Biskins,
Yes.
Mayor Hargis.
Yes. Okay, presentations, town manager recruitment. Mark Collins from KRW Associates.
And Mark is on Zoom right now due to the weather. He did plan on being here tonight. Sorry, Mark, I didn't want to steal your thunder, but I figured I'd give you an introduction, a proper introduction. And he has a presentation for you as well as a handout that's been provided, just some additional supplemental information for his presentation today. And with that, Mark, I'll go ahead and let you go ahead and start your presentation.
Great. Thank you very much, Jennifer. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I apologize. Started out late this afternoon to meet with you in person, and the roads were just treacherous out there coming from Arvada. And so discretion being the better part of valor, I talked with Jennifer about maybe doing a Zoom interview this evening. So she was kind enough to set this up. But I do want to say that if there is any kind of follow-up in-person discussion you want to have with me or representatives at KRW, we're happy to do so. And we're happy to do so at your earliest convenience. So again, apologize that I'm appearing in a Zoom format, but I think we're all used to it over the past year and a half. So hopefully we can adjust accordingly. Mayor and council members, KRW and Associates is a executive search firm that I think is an ideal candidate for doing your executive search for your town manager. There's really four important things I want to emphasize, and I know you have good background information that we've provided to you, so I might make some references to that, but I want to highlight maybe four particular things that I think really make us stand out in terms of a successful firm for executive recruitment. The first of all, we are a Colorado-based firm, so we are proud of that. We are very familiar with candidates in the Intermountain region. We also specialize in small communities. We're not a national firm. We don't come out of Texas. We don't come out of the Eastern Seaboard or California. We really do focus on the Intermountain area and very, very specifically the state of Colorado. So we're proud of that. The second piece is because of that, we have a really strong network. And we don't simply just go ahead and advertise and recruit for potential candidates for your important position. But what we do is we work the phones and we make sure that if there are viable candidates, interested candidates, we get in touch with them, we encourage their applications, and we make sure that you're getting the absolute very best people and the best talent that's available out there to come to the community of Hudson. The third thing is we've got a very successful process, Mayor and Council. We have, as you saw from the select list of clients that we've worked with, I'm proud to say that when you call those communities, you'll find that those individuals that were recruited to those positions are still there. We feel like we wind up with good, strong candidates, that we do a really good, a comprehensive screening process. We do our due diligence on all those candidates so that we bring you somebody that there are no surprises, that you can feel comfortable that they have the skills and the experience to do a good job for you. And then our interview process, we think is really well proven and has really proven to be something that I think winds up with some very top candidates that you're able to make that selection process. So we feel our process overall is highly successful. And then the last thing is we also, our timing is such that we can really focus on Hudson right now. We've got 3 active searches underway. We've got one in the town of Basalt. We've got one for the UNC campus for their campus police chief. We've also got one underway just finished up actually in the city of Ouray. But we can really focus on the town of Hudson right now. And so that can be a primary focus for us going forward to make sure as we begin to make those calls and make those recruitment notices that we can really generate, I think, some really strong interest, not only in the community of Hudson, but also the position itself. So I'm going to conclude my remarks there because I know you, again, have a lot of information, Mayor and Council, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Does anybody have any questions? No? No. Thank you for your presentation and joining us tonight, even if it is by Zoom. But it doesn't sound like anybody on the council has any questions for you at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, my apologies, I couldn't be there in person, but please know with the information that you have there that we're happy to answer any questions you may have. And if you need any follow-up information, we can communicate with Jennifer and your town staff to provide that information to you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
You too. Okay, 2B, Rec and Events Committee recommendations and grant update. Sophia Campbell.
Hello. Okay.
We're getting a presentation loaded up.
If the link I showed you doesn't work, you can just pull it up as a PDF. I put a PDF on the flash drive that's on the computer. Yeah, if that's. I can't find that flash. Oh, here we go. So if you go to Store and Go. Managing devices, it looks like you go here. Yep. You want your file folder. Where your file folder is down here on this computer. But put the flash drive down there. I don't know why you don't have a file folder on there.
Good for you.
Nothing wants to play. Okay. Open.
We're having technical difficulties. Our apologies.
Trying to open
Maybe
the.
we need new laptops too.
You can just take it out and pop it
Everything.
back in. It'll just pop up automatically instead of having to search the computer. Okay. There it is. There it is. PDF format.
And that was really a joke. Hooray. All right. I'm just going to share the screen. We've got it up.
Why is that?
That's what.
There you go. And you might just need to minimize it a little bit because it's gonna be big. And minimize it at the very bottom corner.
The button right here. will
Yeah,
make
the
it
little plus
one
and minus.
right there. Yeah, no, just click that. There you go.
Okay. One, sorry. I'm not trying to breathe over your shoulder. No,
You're
fine.
good.
Right.
Alrighty. Hey, everybody, I'm the Recreation Events Coordinator. I'm here on behalf of the Recreation Events Committee, who would like to make a recommendation to Town Council concerning grants we have received and grants we've applied for. Yay. I started working for Hudson back in April, and one of my first tasks when I was in my very first week was to apply for that BNSF grant for potentially getting a van. And we did get that grant about 2 months ago. The grant, oh yeah, it was awarded to us in September. During that time, between submitting the application and being awarded the grant, Town Council decided to rescind the budget for the van, but we still have that grant awarded to us specifically for purchasing a van. Do the next one. And then the second grant that I wanted to talk to you about is the Community Development Block Grant. This is brand new. Weld County was recently redesignated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which made new funds available from the federal government. And as you can see there, that Hudson is in the red area of their map for where this grant qualifies for. Not all of Weld County qualifies for it. Hudson is specifically qualified for it as an entire town. And I can kind of show you why. To be marked as a municipality that qualifies for a block grant, it means that Hudson census data has been flagged as a community in need. This is the sort of data that qualifies us as basically low income. in total. But if you scroll a little bit so I can see the bottom, yeah. We are currently 7% above average for the state of Colorado and 8% above average for all of Weld County in low income persons. And then if you want to keep going. Just to give you a breakdown of the type of stuff that qualifies this grant for, part of it is low income seniors, low income kids, and people living with disability. And we are higher in every single category percentage wise compared to the state and compared to Weld County. So after seeing those numbers that qualified Hudson for the block grant, thought we should reach out and ask some institutions that are already serving low income peoples about what they thought the town could do with this grant, what we could possibly do to fill that gap for some of our low income citizens. We spoke with the library, we spoke with the school district, and we spoke with Weld County Human Services and Weld County Area on Agency, Agency on Aging. If I can pronounce that right, senior services, essentially. Okay, so the question that we asked is what service would most benefit residents if their independence if Hudson offered it? The reason that I specifically asked this question about maintaining independence is because the goal when it comes to these kinds of services is to fill the gap. So services are already being provided here and there by Weld County, by the state. People are already doing what they have to do to get by if they're low income persons. So the goal is really just filling that gap. The Hudson Public Library recommended personal development programs or workshops. They communicated overall that needing options to grow has been really important that they've been seeing in the library. You can find these programs in places like Fort Lupton Rec Center, Fort Lupton Ames campus, but there can sometimes be no way to physically get there if you live in Hudson because you can't bike to there, you can't, if you don't have a car or if you don't have wheelchair accessibility vehicles or someone who can drive you if you need it, you can't really get to those programs. Ask the College and Career Readiness Department of the RE3 school district. They are focused on really just making sure that the kids are prepared for success after high school. So I figured that was a good department to go with. They recommended that there's a serious need in the whole school district for mental health and medical care locally because traveling as far as Greeley or Brighton, even Brighton only 15 minutes away, can be a huge roadblock. Weld County Family Services recommended healthy after-school activities and mentorship. And while it would be ideal to create a program ourselves, we do not have a facility. We don't have a place to house and do these things. When we tried to book the elementary school gym for open gym nights, we found it booked a year in advance by every local sports program, especially Rebel Youth Athletics. And then even when we were just unaware that it was fully booked, when we were trying to secure any volunteers to help us with open gym, we weren't really able to get anybody to come out and do it or show any interest. But these kinds of programs do already exist in Fort Lupton and Brighton, if it's possible for citizens to get there. And then Weld County Senior Services, I'm not going to try and say that again. When they say non-skilled services, they said non-skilled services and the ability to get to grocery stores and doctor's appointments. I asked for a little bit of like, what does non-skilled mean? And they mostly said, not a doctor or a nurse necessarily that needs to live in their house, but just someone to help out.
Someone to mow the lawn, someone to pull the weeds. somebody to-
Exactly.
Make their dinner.
Or make their
clean
dinner
house,
or-
do their laundry.
Yeah,
It's
so
all not-
someone who just can help out.
Yes.
And then the ability to get to grocery stores and doctor's appointments. All right, and we can keep going from there. So we are back to something that we've discussed earlier to fill the gap between services already available in the county and the ability of citizens who need to get to them. Hudson could invest in transportation. Now, I understand you were previously given some numbers concerning rent versus own, but I was not included in that research and I can't find the numbers you were given anywhere. So we looked at 14 passengers, including 2 wheelchairs. So that's 12 regular passengers plus 2 wheelchairs. And here's what we got for rent versus own analysis and all of the sources. If we assume that the van was used once a month for a year, if we looked at 10 years over time, the cost to charter came up as $802.40 for one day. at 12 rides per year. That's $9,628.80 per year. Insurance, I got that from Cirsa, and she wanted to make sure that I knew that that number was coming based on 2021 numbers, so it could fluctuate, but that's the number that we got from Cirsa for 1 year's worth of insurance on an additional vehicle for what we already, after what we already have. And then maintenance, gas, driver, that would all be included in the first quote for the day. The insurance would have to happen whether we chart or own, because we're still responsible. For cost to own, the cheapest and actually only available really charter van that I could find was quoted at about $91,000. And I say about because the prices of vehicles have been fluctuating like crazy. But that was a pretty firm number that I was given, that it probably won't fluctuate more than $1,000 here and there. Then we also have the BNSF grant that was awarded to us. That's $30,000. So when you take that off, if we are accepting the BNSF grant, then we're down to $61,000. Insurance stays the same. I got $1,000 per year maintenance. I got that number from Public Works, but we wanted to make sure and verify it. So I went into our monthly transparency on the website, where we have the lines that show what we paid every year. And I searched for vehicle repair and maintenance for year to date for all of 2019. I didn't do 2020 because I wasn't sure how COVID or anything affected anything, and divided that by the number of vehicles. This, of course, did not include the line for the police department. And I came up with the same number that I was given from Public Works, which was 998 versus 1,000. Gas would be completely covered by the Recreation and Events Committee budget, but you're looking at roughly $442 per year if you only use it 1 month and you go the absolute furthest that the Rec Committee has spoken about using for it. And then for the driver, if it's me, staff, then there's no additional cost because you're just paying me to do my job. When you add up all the numbers and multiply them by 10 years, obviously the one-time cost, not 10 years worth of the purchasing, you come up with $86,147 to own, $107,007 to rent. If you decide to support filling the gap in access to services for Hudson residents, here's what we're looking at. We won't know about the block grant until March. But if the van itself would not be available until at least May due to nationwide shortages for both suppliers and manufacturer supplies. So even if we were buying a van, it would not happen until at least May. And that's if we said we were interested today. So it could be even out a little further than that. If we do not go in this direction, then I need to return the check that BNSF awarded to us and give them back their money, because we cannot use that for anything other than what it was awarded for, which was purchasing a van. You can keep going. If we don't get the block grant, then we would be looking to town council for the other $61,000. Maintenance costs like the ones for Public Works vehicles would also need to be budgeted for from year to year. So that's pretty much the gist. What I'm kind of looking at you guys for is, what do you want to do? Because these grants are out there. We have one that was awarded to us. What's your direction on it? The recommendation from the Recreation Events Committee is that we move forward with the commitment we made when we first applied for the grant and we had originally budgeted for it, which would have covered the costs already with the grant. But I mean, we're really just kind of at this point looking at direction from you guys.
I thought a couple of months ago when we discussed the van option, we decided to wait a whole year to see how many kids we have attend the 2020's events.
So this
Because you
wouldn't,
guys hadn't been having a ton of kids attending events.
you are correct, which is why this wouldn't be just for events. This would be possibly a monthly trip to the Fort Lupton Rec Center so kids can just expel some energy, a monthly trip to the Fort Lupton Rec Center for seniors so that they can do what they need to do, possibly a monthly trip just to King Soopers and hang out for a bit so that they can get some groceries. And then in addition to that, like a once a month participation for events if they go in that direction as well.
All right, because I know we discussed, we didn't have a lot of people attending events, and that was our main issue on council.
Yeah, this wouldn't be like attending events. This would be closing a gap in access to services.
But we still need to make sure that we have people that
Are gonna use it and utilize it.
So
We don't
that
know
is
that
why
for
we
sure.
went to the different community groups, the Weld County Area on Agency, the Weld County Human Services, Family Services, the library, the school, and most of what they were coming across was stuff that already existed that people just couldn't gain access to. We also talked to the senior group. They didn't feel comfortable having like a direct quote on our presentation, but they were also saying that they would love to be able to just get into Brighton once a month.
I have a question. Does it have to be a brand new van? Could it be a
So
2017 or
that
does it have to be a 22?
that would be really up to you guys. So when we were originally talking about a van, it was decided that we wanted new because maintenance costs wouldn't come until further out. But that's something that could definitely just be,
No, even like a couple of years, you get a lot knocked off for instead of just buying brand new
Well, and right now vehicles are so hard to find.
and expensive.
So
What public service vehicles were you comparing maintenance to?
so for the, specifically for the vehicle, I called who we go to for our public works vehicles for maintenance, and I gave them the specs of the vehicle. He actually came up with less than 1,000, which is why I didn't include his numbers, because I felt like he was like not being 100% realistic, to be honest. I felt like it would probably be a little bit more and went with the public works vehicle number instead, which was higher.
And do you have your CDL?
It's not a CDL bus.
Have you, I might not have been here when you presented the van the first time, but so have you went around the community checking to see if it would be used instead of just the school, you know, people in the school, like really, the people that are really, really going to use it, people in the, you know, the parents, or have you done any surveys like that or anything? Or have you walked around and, you know, kind of
To a
shopped around?
degree, I wasn't here, physically here, when the original proposal for a van was decided on. It was already budgeted for when I moved here,
Oh,
before I even took the job when I was on the committee. But I did sit in on a parent-teacher conference meeting and talk to them a little bit. They also were supposed to get back to me and just didn't. But I went to the PTO and I also went to the American Legion to see what they thought about, you know, senior veterans and stuff like that. And they were both very interested groups, but again, they didn't give me direct quotes, so I don't really feel totally comfortable quoting them. But as far as I'm wondering, maybe Maria, if, because you were here when the original plan for the van was there any additional groups that were spoken to before I got here?
I do not believe there were.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm afraid that's going to be the biggest issue is, yes, there's a need if anybody in the town will use it.
Mhm.
And that's been the biggest issue in the past is nobody uses it.
We never had this opportunity, so we can't.
No,
say
but even the
nobody
events,
used it.
even the
Yeah.
events, they,
But this
they,
is including, not only, it could include like kids as well as seniors though, too, to specific areas. I mean, we never offered this, so we cannot compare it to events. We can't compare it to anything. because
I'm
it's
just
never
thinking
been-
about all the, anything that comes up in the town and people just don't, they either don't hear about it.
There's just not participation.
They're just not, yeah, there's no participation.
And that's
So-
why we asked for a whole
A whole
year
year.
of events and
Well,
more events to be done so we can see if we
Yeah,
get more
unfortunately,
Well,
participants.
And
More
this year
events haven't really
maybe-
happened for
And yeah,
obvious reasons.
COVID
but-
is not over and it's
No.
kind of coming back. So
Yeah. with the
buying a
new
van
variants.
this year still may not be the
when's the
right.
deadline to send, if you don't get a van and have to send that money back?
We have to send that money back immediately if the direction is no longer to get a van. The check's going to expire mid-month.
Can you reapply for it? Or are there other grants out there to reapply for a van?
So
when
the,
COVID dies down in a couple years and we have more participation and you've talked to the residents of Hudson.
the block grant is a unique opportunity that most likely will not come up again. It really depends on what the federal government decides on that one. This is very new, so predicting that one's a little difficult. The BNSF grant is a rolling grant that we can apply to regularly. However, if we give it back and say we've changed our mind and then make the same application again, we are slightly less likely to get approved because they basically look at it and say, didn't we already do this? Now, of course, in my application, I can be very thorough in explaining that more research needed to be done and all that jazz. But that is a consideration.
When applying for that grant now, is it a grant that where you mark, okay, what would it be used for? And you just put van, or is there multiple uses for the 30,000 that you could have marked?
No.
Or is it just specific?
So BNSF is
BNSF
specifically
just
a,
turned it out.
it's specifically a transportation grant, and it wasn't for rent. It was specifically to purchase. So we do have to use it to purchase a van. There aren't like any other options. They basically asked us what our direction was. And at the time, we had money set aside to purchase a van and we were ready to go. We were just trying to see if we could get this grant to cover the additional cost because it was more than I guess was originally estimated. And then when we got the grant, by then minds had been changed.
Oh,
Now the block grant, is that specifically for transportation or no?
No, it is not. It is,
So we could
yeah.
if
So
we
if you
get
guys
the
have another
grant-
direction that you want to go in, yeah.
side,
The block grant we can't put aside. So the
okay.
the
But-
block grant
Okay.
yeah, you can't really put grants aside really at all. It's funding for very specific purposes. So basically a decision would have to be made. This is what we want. And then grants get applied for after the fact. However, for the block grant, we do have applications in for sidewalks on, what was it, Beach Street? Yeah.
So that would be sidewalks on Beach and 52 leading up to the senior housing apartments.
So I already submitted applications for that specifically because I knew that that was something we were already trying to make happen. And I was able to use Jen's other grant applications and other information from her applications to kind of show like, we're trying, we need a little help. So it's definitely not the only thing we can apply for, not the only thing we have to apply for, but it's basically if we're not covering the gap in access, what direction would the town want to go to address the issue that we were flagged as a vulnerable population town?
I would like to ask Judy if she's willing to come up. You have more direct contact with the seniors in the town. Would they be interested in a once a month trip to Brighton to the grocery store or something of that? Is there a need for that?
I do know of a couple of people that have requested if there was some way we could help them to get to their doctor appointments. But right now, we don't have it unless you can find somebody volunteering, a citizen
Right.
volunteering to take them. But the town doesn't have anything. I've talked to several of the citizens and they all would like to be able to take trips, events, to go places and do things. And I'm sure that there's those that would be willing to go to Brighton to the, King Soopers, Walmart. Prairie View used to have a van and they used to do that with their residents, take them. They didn't take
Anybody
other
else.
citizens,
Yeah.
but their own people they did. They discontinued that. And I'm sure there's probably those that would be willing to go or need to go because there is those citizens up there that don't have cars.
Okay. So there is definitely, you can see a need for the citizens, even if we can't get kids interested in going to the rec center or something.
Your seniors, yes.
Okay.
I'm thinking like, since you got the $30,000 grant, you don't really want to give it back. What if we add a little bit, even 20,000?
Isn't the grant, we have to meet at least half?
Is it how?
We have to match what they gave. That's what we were originally told.
Yes. So if the grant's for 30,000, then we have to match 30,000. However, matching that 30,000 can come from other funds. It doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
But it has to
yes.
be another 30,000.
Yes.
I would like to see some look into used vans.
Used. Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
Especially if it's just a main need for the senior citizens in our community. I think a 15-passenger van would utilize it better than,
And
The
so what you're
bus.
saying, you don't want to use a handicap van?
So this is a handicap van of 14 passengers. That's
So it's 12 passengers and
12
two
passengers and
wheelchairs.
2 wheelchairs. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if you think about the wheelchairs going on, if they have home health nurse, their home health nurse has got to ride with them because they're not going to be like, hey, let me just meet you down there when I could just take you myself.
Yeah.
So that figures in another lost space for a citizen that wants to ride.
So
But I
it-
still think
transportation for them.
No, I get that. I just think the seniors would benefit more than the kids right now.
Right now because of what's going on.
Exactly. And
But
so a
at least we can
van-
get a start with it and not lose the
Right.
BNSF money for now. So do you guys agree, look into used vans?
When does the check expire?
So I can contact BNSF and let him know that we are weighing some options before we deposit the check and see about getting a new one. And then that's another 120 days. But this check, yes, to give us a little bit more time for sure. I can definitely do that. And in the meantime, the check that we do have now actually would expire towards mid-month after your guys' next meeting this month. So if you were making a decision relatively quickly, then we could just deposit that. And if not, I can contact Andy and I can let him know, hey, this, we need a little bit more time. Can we get another check? And it shouldn't be a problem.
You might be able to find some good used vans to bring back to us by the next meeting too.
Oh, absolutely. I can definitely do that. So there's plenty more used out there than there is new.
Right.
The only reason I wasn't coming with used is because I know previous direction when it came to a vehicle was that we absolutely did not want used for the maintenance. What was it? The maintenance? We were worried that issues were going to come up too quickly.
That was
and-
brought to us.
Yeah, okay. Whatever the direction was I was gave, wherever it came from, that was the direction that I was
Okay.
given. But
So I think
yeah,
right now, check with
Sure.
used vans, see what's out there. for
absolutely,
Comparable to what you have found new.
absolutely.
Um, and yeah, you don't want to go too terribly old,
Yeah.
but see what's available.
For seeing what's available, is council comfortable with the size and capacity of the ADA vehicle that I mentioned?
I think so. Did you guys think you want something bigger or? I
Oh,
think,
no.
I think
their
that's
size is
fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to bring up to you guys was just a quick note. When I was doing the research for this, I got a little bit of an earful from Weld County. They, for their senior services, are so understaffed with volunteers. A lot of the services that they have on their website, because when I was doing this research, I was like, what about 60+ rides and stuff like that? They're so understaffed, they can't help us at all. So they are on waiting lists, and some of the seniors from our town who have already contacted them about the programs that are currently available have been put on those waiting lists. And from what I was told, that's not going to change anytime soon unless they suddenly get a magical increase in volunteers, which I think we know based on our personal experience probably isn't going to happen, especially during COVID. That was the last thing I had for that. And then I have brochures for you guys of the new van just for you to take home. And the quote that I got from the rental, just so you can compare it. The furthest distance rec ever talked about going was Denver. So I used that as a gauge for price.
Okay.
And copies of the presentation for you guys to take home. If anyone wants digital copies as well, I can email it to you.
Thank you.
Now, can you use the van, like, would you be able to use the town of Hudson, let's say, just an example, like maybe the town council had all of us had to go somewhere, we'd be able to get in there and go, okay. we
That would
could
be
use it
up
for
to,
anything.
that would be up to us. We can use it for anything. When I worked at the city of Fort Lupton and I did drive the van. We did have presentations where even like a new council member, you can go and take them or, something new somewhere. Absolutely. We can use, it belongs to the town.
Okay.
The citizens of the town, we can all use that vehicle for whatever reasons we need to.
Okay. Anybody have anything else on that?
Thank you.
3A, a request to fund College for Kids program.
I forgot about that one. Here I am again. So that presentation would have been in your guys' packet. It's the same as last time. So the only reason that we're asking for it so much earlier is the last time the College for Kids program came up, again, it was right after I started here. So it was very, very last minute. The last time that we talked about the College for Kids program, the gist of it was if kids don't sign up, the town pays nothing. So it was also that we were getting a discount of it's usually $75 and we were getting a discount of $25. However, the woman that I work with at Ames is so desperate to get anyone in this area into Fort Lupton because it's just so hard in this just general area. Fort Lupton, the whole Keensburg, all of it. that she's just made that the blanket price for everybody for Fort Lupton. So it's not a deal anymore, but it is the same price. If you guys are interested in funding this again, it was the recommendation that it wouldn't come out of the rec budget. It would come out of the same budget line that we use for things like scholarships, for kids sponsoring, things of that nature. It was $375, if my memory is correct. It should be on the paper. Yep. Cool. $375 to fund 15 kids to go to college for kids. That is what the Recreation Events Committee is recommending as the maximum that we ask you guys to offer. And then if kids sign up, if one kid sign up, then it's $25. If two kids sign up, it's $50. But if no kids sign up, then it's nothing. You don't pay for any kids that don't sign up. This would just be a cap of 15 kids.
What do you guys think?
I'm okay with it. Yeah,
Yep.
maybe we'll get more kids than 2 this year.
Oh, I did want to point out with that, when I was saying earlier that it was last minute, the woman who runs the program actually stopped by my office at Ames, knowing that I was the contact for Hudson, and very excitedly was like, can we put Hudson on all of our marketing materials and be like, you can go to Hudson and do it in Spanish as well as English and all that stuff. So they'll actually do a lot of our marketing for us if it's approved and I can give her notice.
You guys good?
Mhm.
As it's money, we need a motion for this?
This would come out of your donation budget. So when people come up and they ask for
Right.
sponsorship, you give the direction to staff, just like you would in those instances, and we'll
Okay.
allocate it that way.
Then let's go for like same thing we did last year.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. 3B, Resolution 2201, a resolution establishing a designated public place for the posting of meeting notices pursuant to CRS Section 24-6-4022C.
So we are required to do this. This is the same first agenda item on your first agenda of every year. This sets where we have to post our agendas and where people get noticed publicly for our meetings. Although a lot of you know, we post a lot of additional places as well. This is the one required place that we're required to post it. Anybody have any questions?
No? Then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 22-01, a resolution establishing a designated public place for the posting of meeting notices pursuant to CRS 24-6-4022C.
That's second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 3C, Resolution 22-2, resolution approving an amendment to the agreement for towing services.
So this is an amendment to an agreement that we already have with I-76 Towing. What this amendment would do is elongate their contract for another year. So it's just re-upping the contract for another year. And the information provided for this agenda item is all of basically the state fee requirements, and that's what we would be assessing as well. We're not doing anything different.
Also on Zoom if anyone has any questions.
Thank you. Yes, I
Oh,
just saw
okay.
that.
Does anybody have any questions either for staff or the company owner? If not, then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 22-02, a resolution approving an amendment to the agreement for towing services.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 3D, Resolution 2203, resolution approving an amendment services agreement for economic development consulting services.
So this is an amendment to agreement that you had approved kind of at the end of last year. I believe it might have been November. The agreement had never been kind of started. And so the terms of that agreement have lapsed, and we want to make sure those are re-upped and re-put in place so that Mr. Hall has a chance to do the work that he was contracted to do. So the term has now been extended a few months into 2022 to March 31st specifically.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on that one? Then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2203, a resolution approving an amendment services agreement for economic development consulting services.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 3E, Resolution 2204, resolution for the appointment of the Hudson Public Library Board of Trustees.
So this is just, we have a member that's term is coming to an end that's on the library board that applied to be reappointed.
And do we have their information?
It's in the packet.
It's in the packet.
They're the only ones that applied, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, her name is Kathy Bowlers.
Well, does anybody have any questions or comments? If not, then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2204, resolution for the appointment of Hudson Public Library Board of Trustees.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to Kathy again. 3F, Resolution 2205, resolution approving an easement agreement and accepting the grant of public utility easement.
All right, so this is actually related to our broadband project. This particular easement is to run broadband down the middle of Hudson Estates, kind of in between the dwelling units where they're set right now. That's all private property, but for us to be able to serve the actual homes, we needed to put in our conduit and our fiber right in between those homes. We needed a public utility easement to be able to put that in there because it's kind of like a water main line or a sewer main line. You can think of our fiber line in those terms. Service lines are going to be pulled off of it, but this is a big piece of our main backbone. I've worked with the property owner there. He has been wonderful in working with us to get the property surveyed. And we're going to be constructing as soon as we get the easement approved. But the owner is very happy to have his residents served by the opportunity for fiber. So he was very excited to do this. And he was very fun, easy to work with. I have to say that. So that was wonderful too. But if you have any questions, this is for them to be able to get, basically for Hudson Estates to be able to get fiber as part of our project. And they'll have to get the service lines taken to their individual homes. But this is like part of our main backbone. Does anybody have any questions?
If not, then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 22-05, a resolution approving an easement agreement and accepting the grant of public utility easement.
I second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Just one question. There is no actual resolution page in the packet or on my desk
Oh,
for 2205.
okay, we'll get you one.
I have the easement agreement, but
Okay,
no
we'll get the
resolution
resolution.
page. Okay. 3G, Resolution 2206, appointing Jennifer Woods as interim town manager. Does anybody have any questions?
Is there a conflict of interest if I present for myself? So, thank you. I've been working with staff. We've got a lot of things going on, so I appreciate the opportunity. We're going to keep the ship afloat and try and help everyone through the transition until we can get fully staffed.
Even after being in an auto accident and not being able to walk, she's coming in and working.
That's dedication.
Yes.
I appreciate it. This has been a really good experience for me, but you know, having this happen is also, this is a good distraction for me. So I appreciate that.
So if anybody has any questions, then I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2206, appointing Jennifer Woods as interim town manager.
I second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I don't know whether to say congratulations or condolences.
You could say both.
I can say both. Okay. Item number 4, discussion, services agreement with J. Ramos Associates LLC for facilitator services.
And the information or sample you got in your packet is just that. It's nothing for you to make a decision on or anything tonight, but it was the attempt to try and give you information about kind of at a basic level what her services could provide. Now, she did say that she could ramp up her services. So her services include interviews, and they're pretty in-depth interviews. She does transcription of those interviews, and then she conducts a workshop. The interviews are kind of the way that she informs how the workshop will go. The workshop is a pretty big deal, but the interviews have to come before the workshop. I'm paraphrasing of what I've gathered from her and in this sample, but I want you to understand that the changes to what could occur in her statement of work are if you add more people to the interview list, that adds more time, of course, to how long it's going to take her to interview people to be available, for her to have to transcribe them, in addition to setting up the workshop and working with everybody's schedules. Now, it's not a big deal. It's just, sometimes it just takes a little extra time to do when you have more people. There's nothing wrong with having more people, just something to consider when it comes to her costs and her statement of work. Additionally, she did have she wanted to propose some time options. If we wanted to do a smaller group and go super fast through interviews to get to the workshop, she said, drop dead, she could get y'all in by February 5th. If we expand the reach, she said, that's wonderful. Of course, the more the merrier. It's going to take a little time, but we'd probably be looking at the end of February, beginning of March. And I know I wanted to give you two options in terms of timing, just in terms of whether you see this as being essential and you want to go ahead and get started. Maybe it's this first step in a bigger kind of line of strategic planning for you all. Or if you wanted to look at throwing a wider net out there, pulling in Planning Commission, maybe the Rec and Events Committee, maybe your department heads, depending on what you want, to have a fuller, broader conversation about your goals and how you'd like to see things kind of move forward. And it's really, it's essential for budgeting. It would be very useful in so many different realms. But I think it's just a matter of how you see this useful to you and how you want to move forward on it.
Thoughts?
I'd love to see it for council, pretty much council only.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we need to definitely need this.
What about I don't have anything in my packet or anything, I didn't see it, but, so I know that you said if there's more people, it's gonna be more. What are you talking more? Like tons and tons more money? Because it'd probably be not a bad idea to have all those department heads too.
So you're probably looking at twice of what she's quoted, because it'll be twice as many people. So you've got
to find out what she's quoting.
Yeah, well, you've got 7 of you, or you've got 7 of you, and then there's 5 more Planning Commission members and 3 Rec and Events Committee members, and then what did I count? 6
2 of us
potential.
are on.
Yeah, so there's only 5
so,
Planning
yeah.
Commission, right? 7. So in all, we're looking for just under 20 people. What she's quoted us is for 7. So if you could kind of pro rata, and if you want, I can share this with you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pass
There
it
was an
because I'll take
updated
me forever
packet
to
that
go
got
over
sent
it.
out
Okay.
with her information.
Oh,
And that
okay,
was
I
the
didn't
only thing
see-
that was in
I
it.
didn't see- Oh, okay.
Um,
Oh, I did try to open that. I couldn't open it on mine.
I could have sworn
We'll talk
the,
about that in just a second,
Okay.
Lisa. If
Yeah, I
we could
did try
pause
to
that,
open it.
promise. I will definitely hit on that. If you could pass that down to Lisa, that was the sample out of my packet that I'm talking about.
I could have sworn the first one was the interviews were going to be council and department heads.
That's what I
But
was
if there's
thinking.
only 7, then that's not council and department heads.
No, it was, and my
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
my understanding from her scope of work, and I just gave it away, which is of course mine. Which was just the way she talked to me about it was just for council. And then if you wanted to pull in more people, you could basically extrapolate her fees based on the number of people.
I think we should start with council. I think the problem with bringing in department heads is that we're technically not their bosses. So anything that's said or passed along, we can't reflect that. And I think
Right.
that's what was kind of brought to us, which is why it became just council.
That we're not all here either. We're still-
And so we're
And we're
going
missing
to-
people.
Yeah.
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 So-
Or we can see
Yeah.
how it goes and see if it's like,
If we need that in like long term.
if we
Yeah.
feel like we learned. No.
So if that's the case, we still
Right,
have
if
what
we got
she's
it.
got,
Yeah.
and we might be able to do,
A video. or
February
something that
5th?
Yeah, I think if we can get
That's a
a
Saturday. I
a
can't do it.
updated
Justin's out
scope of
town.
work, we can get it in front of you on January 19th. And in the meantime, she can try and see what availability is to be ready to schedule.
every Saturday you're unavailable?
No, just that Saturday. Justin's out of town, and then the end of February, we're going back to Texas. So that's 2 Saturdays right there.
Okay, so the 5th won't work.
This is, yeah. it's a
The
huge
5th
thing.
and the last Saturday in February are out. Let's find some other dates that she's available and run them by the council and make sure that
Well, we
council's
need to
okay.
do This next couple of months, we're really short. We've had
So
enough
you could-
employees testing positive with COVID.
So you could be
Fine,
called in
everything's-
at any time.
Yeah.
Right.
I think she said closer to the end of March too, though, so that could give her time to kind of
And
hold off
I
and
still
do
actually-
interviews.
I don't agree with this. I don't think we need it. 'Cause after we get new council members in, then we gotta do it again. And then when is it?
I'm
No,
in
it's not-
Florida the end of March too.
It's
so.
not necessarily, something we do every time there's new council members or whatever. This is, it has a lot of benefit with helping us looking to the future of the town and what we want to designate for the budgeting in the next year, what we want to put together for,
So this is
Things
something-
like
yeah,
the-
so that's my-
So
that's
it's
my key
budgeting
point.
stuff.
So every year we need to do this.
not necessarily. We could,
Well, you're talking, because this is something, if we're gonna do it, we need to do it on a consistent basis. Because otherwise it's kind of a waste of time. You do it once.
we do it once, we understand what's going on, we might be able
How
to,
many council
go
members
forward.
have we been through?
well, we've been through a lot.
I
Right,
was
so that's
thinking-
why I'm saying that. It would be kind of a waste of time just to do it once.
I don't think it's just for budgeting. I mean.
No, it's,
for-
I was saying that's an
it's more-
additional,
yeah. It's more extensive than that.
yeah.
What about even if we go once or whatever, and then like, I was thinking of something like us council members, maybe setting a time that works good with us and us having like a workshop. Can we do that before a meeting or something like that once a month or just to get on, see how everybody.
I think this will help us facilitate something like.
Is
that.
it more for us all to get along?
Not
I think
just
we
that,
can-
no.
It's
Okay.
No.
policies and
No,
procedures. I think it's
because this
a
is
law.
one thing I'm concerned about. We all come to this, we all come in here with their own mindset, and that is the best thing that we can do. With us trying to join together with one mindset, I'm not too crazy about that.
No,
I
And
don't
that's
think-
what it seems like.
I don't think that's what it's for.
no, that's not what it's for.
Then tell me what it would be for, 'cause I'm hearing different reasons why, and I don't.
So a
You
lot
got
of,
a different reason why, you got a different reason why. That's
No,
what I'm hearing.
they're
Well, I
additional
think that's
reasons.
kind of the point. I mean, what we're doing right now is the point of this coming together. It's not about being on the same page. It's about a communication issue that is happening.
Jen, did you have something to add?
I was just going to say, in terms of facilitation, a lot of times having an objective third party to extract your ideas and thoughts about the future is one way to not necessarily compile you and put you all together in one, bubble. It's to ensure that your voice and your opinion is organized and kind of put forth in a way that everybody's is kind of put forth equally. So even if you have a difference of opinion from your neighbor or from your other neighbor, the facilitator's job is to make sure that all of those opinions are put forth. And when you're thinking about decision-making, whether it be the budget, who you want your next town manager to be, those kinds of things, this really helps you understand what your processes are going to be like. Where do people stand? What are people's, really and truly, what are people's big priorities? What are things that people feel like they need to have embedded in decision-making? It puts all of those things at a light. And when they're in that light, you're actually communicating with all of your fellow council members in a way that you may not be able to at the dais every night when you come here for a council meeting. There is some value in facilitation. That objective third party is really a good way to make sure you get your piece heard.
And so then again, I'll say this sounds like something that instead of doing once, these be on a consistent basis when we get new council members in.
And there are, exactly, there are councils that do strategic plans every 3 years or on the basis of how their election cycles come up so that they strategically plan with a new group of people that are going to be there for a couple years because those are going to be the people who are implementing the plans that you're making. So you can choose to do this. This would be a step to kind of test out whether or not that's the flavor of kind of how you all can figure out how to, put your thoughts forward, make your piece heard.
Decide if it's
Um,
worth doing every 2 years
yep,
when we get a new
exactly.
council in.
Exactly. So I think, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I don't think you're all going to be sitting in a circle playing guitar, singing Kumbaya or anything, but I do think that having somebody there to make your voices important as the 600 other members on council is a really good thing to help start conversations. So that's just my 2 cents.
I personally think I would benefit from it and help, me as a council member serve our community better, just giving ideas and thoughts. And I mean, I know I've seen these classes when I went to the conventions when we used to go. Where they
CML.
offered those at CML and we never took advantage of that. I think it's a good time for my personal growth. And I think everybody can
You
strive
can
on
always
that.
learn.
Mhm. So what is the direction of the council? Yes, no?
I say yes. I say yes.
How long is it for? Is it like a whole day thing or is it just?
Couple
one
of
time or is
hours,
it-
couple of hours.
I think she's going to schedule about an hour with you to interview. She said they don't normally take an hour, and then
And
the
that's on
workshop
the phone.
itself. Yeah, the workshop itself would be in person and for a few hours on a Saturday.
So she interviews each person and then you just, okay.
She'll interview you.
You to see like kind of where you're at, and then she comes back to all of us, and then.
And she leads a
Cool.
discussion about
Yeah.
goal setting and communicating, and I'd say you have to try it before you
Yeah.
decide whether
I
it's
have no
worthwhile.
clue on that. I'd probably be okay with it just to see if it would be anything that would be helpful.
Especially being new. I'm almost
Just
out.
get-
You're just coming in and I think I've benefit from it.
Yeah.
I
I just really was I was hoping that maybe that we could get like, maybe go to something like this, but I was hoping that we could, like discuss things. If there is questions together, I mean, like before, maybe once a month or something before we come in, if there was some things.
Like a
that-
work study session.
Yeah, like a work.
And you
study
can for
on
sure do
things
that,
on The agenda, is that what
Yeah,
you're talking
yeah.
about? Yeah. I
but
know a lot of other councils have
do
it
that.
like at 5 or, if they're
Even once
meeting
a
in
month
a
or
session.
something.
right.
Yeah.
I think that would be really helpful.
It would, I just want to caution you that that still has to be public.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it just has to, it can be a more informal meeting when you're not taking action, but if you're discussing things, it
If
still
we
needs
all-
to
we
be
all have
public, right?
different, what,
And I think
Right.
having a facilitator get us through it at first to let us know how to run those.
yeah,
Because right now, if we get together before a meeting, we've never done it.
Yeah.
right,
And we're not going to get much out
Right.
of it.
right.
If we have somebody direct us, let us know how to handle stuff like that, I think it would benefit.
Mhm.
And I do think it would be a good thing to have as new council members come in. It's
The ones
because
that
you're
have been
kind of
here
just thrown
before.
in. You don't really know.
You're not given any.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You just get packet.
Here you go.
Okay.
Find your own way.
Because
I know.
I think
Facilitate
it
one,
is a
yes.
good thing
I mean,
for.
Joe?
I think, I'm just gonna disagree. I think we do a good job right here as council. We all voice our own opinion. And we do a good job moving forward. And because since we do have our own voice here, we're able to decide on how we want to vote. And I think that's probably the key thing.
I don't have an opinion either way. The telephone thing's gonna be hard for me between all of my doctor's appointments with Bentley, all of my therapies with Bentley. So if she can find an hour, then go for it. But that's what's gonna be challenging. Cause literally
Yeah,
my month
You
of
have,
January, I have one day where I am not doing anything. I'm done the rest of January.
let's
So
tell her to go
it
ahead
is what it is.
and we'll see if we can get it done.
And we can also, I mean, see if we need to work with schedules and just come up with a timeline based on schedules and when you're available and whatnot, we can do that too. I think she was trying to be flexible. And she's also flexible in that she doesn't just work from 8 to 5. So not to say you want to spend your night talking to her or anything, but she's just trying to be open and available.
Okay. Staff reports. Jen.
All right. I got something for you. So I don't know if you've noticed, but Heather is serving as our interim town clerk. So thank her for that. She's been wonderful, taken a lot of initiative and has been extremely helpful. So we are very, very, very thankful for her. I mentioned something, or somebody mentioned something about laptops. We will be ordering them. We are getting our names and everything, so we get credit cards and all those other fun things. But we've basically priced out the Surface. We'll be ordering those as soon as we possibly can. So those of you who don't have one, will get one soon, hopefully by the next meeting. And all the rest of you who's aren't up at their best right now will be getting new ones as well. All right. We are looking to recruit an HR firm as soon as possible because we have a few job openings, and I don't mean that to sound funny, but it's true. You know how many. So that's the void we're trying to fill right now. So that's my big priority. And then I wanted to have one, of course, feel good story for the end of the meeting. We had basically Santa Claus come in at the end of the year this year and give us a check for $2,968.08 to donate to somebody's utility bills. Being a government worker for a long time, I was like, I don't know if we can accept donations. So I sent it to Hillary. Hillary said we can, but we have to let you basically allocate how those donations are put into people's accounts, however you want that done. Essentially the McRae's, who are the people who donated this money, and I was allowed to say their name. I did ask first. They're residents of the town. They were the Santa Clauses that did this donation. And they basically said, do with it however you see fit. And I believe actually the McRae's are online right now. And so I've got some of the past due amounts that we've got some people who have kind of outstanding bills. You all are very aware of one of them that has come forward quite a few times asking for assistance. I'm looking for direction from you on how to allocate this money to accounts. We will contact the people on the account and let them know this happened, of course, but it's kind of you get to choose where a donation goes based on however you see fit with that. Staff can't decide where it goes and Hillary can't. So it's really up to you.
The family that came in, the folks that came in, what do they need to at least get their water turned back on?
Do we know that?
I believe it's about $800 or $900.
$800 to $900.
So good, it's not the whole amount.
No.
How do you guys feel about donating just enough to get them to turn their water back on? And they have to be aware that they have to keep up with their payments or it's going to go off again.
How many other residents out there are supposed to get the one?
I don't know if they would keep up with it. That's
I
my
don't know if
concern.
they would either.
If they can handle the fee on it to
Yeah.
keep up with it.
Yeah.
The way it sounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many are,
Would be,
Yeah.
it start. So that's what it's.
Oh, everyone's
That's what it's
for.
for.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they would want us to do.
So my suggestion would be you find some sort of rational way of divvying it up, whether it's percent of amount due or a flat amount per account, somehow that we can rationalize who's getting what.
right?
And then staff can crunch the numbers and come back to you and let you know how it will actually be distributed. Go ahead.
So we have 50 accounts that are delinquent right now. A lot of them are small delinquencies like that month, right? We could do the base amount for the bill that's very outstanding and then do a pro rata, a ratio, an equal ratio amongst all the others. Or you can take the top 5 most outstanding balances and apply it equally to those.
How many houses, residents out there are within 1 to 2 months getting the water shut off?
There's usually
And sometimes someone just.
So I
doesn't
think
see the bill.
the
or
number
doesn't-
we have right now is 50, but I think the average is about 30 is what I just heard from our
Can we
clerk.
equally divide it between all 50?
Of course.
So then somebody doesn't get left out. If somebody hears through the grapevine that this was donated, why don't we just equally donate it to all 50?
Take the 2968.08 and divide it by 50 and put it in all accounts. Okay.
What about, but
I mean, that's just my
sometimes like with the
opinion.
delinquency, I really do feel like someone, is it just delinquent 1 month that you're saying, like someone just didn't see it? And
Or
pay
they
the bill?
forget.
Or they
Yeah.
forget, what I
And
mean?
some of
That
the
happens a lot too. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking of someone more is struggling. And maybe like you were saying, that 800 or 900 owed on that one to get their water on, maybe to show that they can do it. Maybe if they can come up
Push 'em
with half, then
forward.
you can do half,
So at what
to
point
make
do you
sure that
expire
they're gonna
shut
be
off?
able to do it.
If you don't pay your bill,
That
For a
month?
month?
a week,
or-
yeah, I believe you get,
If you're over a month.
if you're
past due.
over a month past due.
So maybe any ones that are
2
well
plus.
We
over
only have
the month.
one
Well, if
resident
it's-
out there that's got the water shut off.
That currently has their water
Yeah.
shut off.
Exactly. Well, and I think, so the bulk of these that I have in this list are going to be, I forgot this month, right? And then there's going to be a couple handfuls of others that are 2+ months in arrears. So either,
We should look at those ones and divvy it up between those ones because some of them may just have really
Got
just
over
missed it
the
with the
holidays.
holiday. Yeah.
okay. So we'll go for people who are kind of
Close to
More
being
than
shut
one
off.
month,
more than 1 month over. Okay. All right.
and
And-
split it up equally with those that are over 1 month. Agreed?
Or I'm wondering like with, if they've, is there, what about the ones, I'm kind of trying to think of the ones that are more struggling, like every month and they can't get caught up, it's every single month.
I think it's the ones that aren't just a month.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Over,
saying. But,
yeah.
but so you, like maybe you go back 6 months and see, God, they just can't get caught up.
I mean, I'm trying to look and see whose bills are above, say, 500, and I'm finding maybe 7.
It's been getting a lot better since the ordinance. But there's still.
Yeah.
I could get them out.
Yeah.
Can we do like an amount like 300 or more that's owed, something like
Sure.
that? Just
Yeah.
because that's harder to pay and that's
All at once.
probably why they're struggling. So maybe like those that have, $300. or
Yeah,
more.
and that would insinuate also that they're more than 1 month past due as well. Okay, so is 300 a fair cutoff? Do you feel okay with that number? If your bill is more than $300, then we'll allocate this very nice donation equally amongst all of you.
Sounds good.
Okay,
And thank you so much for the donation.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
thank you.
and that is my last story of the evening. I'm done.
Thank you. Hillary.
Do not so much a report, but a question, because I was a little discombobulated when I got in. The KRW presentation, so is there consensus to move forward with that? Would you want us to continue to negotiate a contract with that firm for city manager or town manager recruitment? And I believe we also have the position that they also recruit for, which is chief of police, that's going to be vacant soon. So we could possibly expand the scope to have both. Both would need to be acted on by council.
So I think you
we
just threw
have-
us off there.
Yeah, we didn't know the chief of police was going
Oh.
to be vacant, so you.
I thought that was public knowledge. My apologies. Jay, would you like to come to your staff report? I thought it was common knowledge.
I guess first of all, everybody saw today all the troopers and stuff in town. So we did another joint operation. Scott set that up and 31 troopers showed up, 3 weigh stations showed up. 17 citations were written. We had several trucks flee from us, obviously, because there's something wrong. The troopers were able to trap several of them. I think, what'd you say? There's like a 2 or 5 mile window around Hudson that they surrounded. So the trucks, we could bring them back. So they brought several back to the weigh station, violated them. They had so much fun that they're going to come back on a regular basis now.
So is that
Yeah.
why the big gravel truck ended up stuck down on Holly Street?
That could have been, they immediately started posting on social media and stuff that there were weigh stations and violations for hazmat. So they found several, the guys I talked to said there were so many hazmat violations, they couldn't believe it. And so that they're going to come back. We're sending 3 of our officers to this inspector school so that we can do this more regularly. Hopefully we're going to work with Loves and see if we can also use their scales because we can't just tote around a portable scale where we go. But the troopers were really good about coming out. Like I said, we expected like 2 or 3 like last time and we got 31. So they came from all over the state. So we made sure they got fed and stuff. They only got to work about a half a day today because of the weather, but it was quite effective. And they were on CB radios, Facebook, and I guess trucker Facebook. I don't know what it was called, but that word went out pretty quick. Around town, Flock is able to put in, I think, 5 of the 7 cameras. So they should be up and running, we hope, relatively soon. 2 of them, they're saying that we need permits for. I've already applied to the letter for CDOT to do that. And it's just a simple, they just need to know what's going up and then they'll approve that. And then I don't know if you guys are aware, so Crime Watch went up. And if you guys have that, it's just, you can go to crimewatch.net. More and more local agencies are going on that. We're able to share with other agencies almost instantaneously things that are going on, accidents, road closures, commercial vehicle inspections going up. So you guys can get real-time information. And so if you get a chance to do that, it works real well. It automatically sends everything out to Twitter, Facebook, all our accounts goes out with one punch of a button. And if we need it to go to the press, because it's like a road closure or something, it'll go to the press too. So that's also up. Other than that, that's all I got.
That's all you got?
And
You don't want to
what?
make an
Hillary's
announcement?
build?
What
Well,
about my spoiler alert?
I thought that everybody already knew, so I've resigned my position as the chief up here. I'm going to move on and see what's out there, what opportunities are there. You're all welcome to, if you haven't read my letter, to read my letter. I guess in addition, I will try to hang around until this investigation that has been commissioned is completed. I don't want to make it look like I'm running for anything. I've talked to the investigator today and provided 2.5 hours of information, all my documents and stuff that I have. So hopefully that will further enhance the capabilities of the Hudson Police Department as we move on.
Well, again, thank you for your service. And we do wish you best in whatever you decide to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Hillary,
All right, so thanks. So part 2 of my report will be, is there consensus that the council wants to retain KRW for manager recruitment and possibly police chief recruitment? Do you want to see potential contracts next time?
Yes. I say move forward.
all right.
Yeah,
Okay, for both.
unanimous. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also, I think because I walked in a few minutes late, I didn't get discussion of payment of bills. Is that something, Mayor, that you wanted?
We need to discuss that. Yes. We
Okay.
have not discussed it.
Okay, is it going to be put on an agenda to discuss, or do you want to do it now?
I think we can do it now.
Sure.
So one of the things on the agenda for the consent agenda is we have payment of bills. We are not actually approving whether or not those bills can be paid. They've already been paid. And these are almost all bills that we have technically contracts for. They're credit cards and things like that. Plus everything in these bills have been budgeted. Something new comes up, it comes up as an agenda item for the budgeted item. We still want to address this as confused. I mean, I'm lost the term, Hillary. What are we?
Like a ratification?
Ratification of the bills.
Yeah.
So you can still see them. You will still see them. You'll still see what's there. You can ask any questions. You can bring anything up, but it's just a ratification of them. We are not approving the bills. These have already been paid. So
would we still approve the consent agenda or do the consent agenda with the minutes and then approve the ratification of the bills separately? Or is it all in one still?
It can all be in one. It's more just changing your view of, it's not that you're approving them and maybe it's just a single change of a word, it's
Yeah,
ratification of bills.
instead of payment of.
Yeah, just so you're aware, you can't not, I suppose you could fail to ratify them as a sort of a non-support of a prior payment, but you can't take back the
Right.
payment. Yeah.
They've already been paid.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's something that came up. You had some good concerns over some of the bills, but we've already paid those. So we can't not approve to pay them.
Right. Right. No, I
So-
get that. It was just,
Yeah.
I knew they had already been paid. It was just like, especially the one that was like in there like twice or 3 times. And then the one that was coded wrong for the
Right.
Public
So
Works.
you'll still
dinner
get them.
for $4,000.
You'll still get them, and by all means, go through them all. But they've already been paid when we get them. This is a ratification of, yeah, okay, we've seen them. We don't have any more questions or,
And you can still raise questions. I mean, it's
Yeah,
still a
absolutely.
time to, it really doesn't change anything other than that conceptual, that word, is it approval or is it
Right.
acknowledging that it's already been paid? But it is still absolutely a time to ask staff questions about what payments were and that kind of thing.
so we will just change the wording from payment of bills to ratification of bills going forward. All right. Anything else, Hillary?
No, thanks.
Okay, anybody have anything for Hillary? No? Anybody have anything for Jen right offhand? No? Heather,
I don't think I have anything.
thank you for stepping up, and I want you guys to know, yes, you got an electronic transfer last week of your payment and including the employees. And I want to really, really thank Heather and Jen for keeping me sane as I ran back and forth to the bank and talked to all the bank and trying to get this done so that everybody got paid on time. Those guys were fabulous, but I have to say, Bank of Colorado bent over backwards for us, trying to make sure that everybody got their money on time. So, all right, Jay's been up. Sophia, do you have anything else?
Not really, but with an interim town manager and everything, I just want to remind everybody that I do have a regular office day in town council, which is Tuesdays, unless something happens with my other job or I'm doing something for rec specifically that needs to be on a different day. If you guys have any questions or concerns or whatever, definitely email me because I check my email every day except for Saturday, Sunday, unless I'm doing an event, and then I check it then too. So definitely email me anytime if you guys need anything or if you have any questions. I did also want to point out that I know my title is Recreation Events Coordinator, but I took over a lot of the stuff that Matt used to do. Website, newsletter, like a lot of that. So if you're not sure about something, always just ask Jen. And if it's a random thing that happens to be under my wheelhouse, again, just email me and I'm happy to talk to anybody anytime about anything.
Are you the one that's doing the updates on the Hudson community, not the Hudson community page, the town of Hudson page when there's a water issue?
Yeah, so if
Could we
there,
put a little more info on there other than there's a water issue here, go here?
I would love to. What I need is the information be given to me. So that, hey.
Well, and we can route
Yeah.
that through.
Yeah.
If there is a water issue, like when the pumps decide not to work, and I'm sure Lee's going to tell you all about it. But when the pumps don't work, we got to turn the tanks back on. We can give everybody a heads up, like there's a little burp in the system. We'll get it back up and running when we turn back on the tanks. We can do that kind of
That would be good. I
Outreach.
mean,
Yeah.
putting out the information that there's an issue and here's the information to the website, but even the website doesn't usually have a whole lot. If we could get more information out there.
Absolutely.
We
And
could.
I want to put that all to all staff in town council. If anything needs to go out on Newsflash, whatever you send me, I will copy and paste it and we're good to go. So any information from any department that you want to make sure gets out there, just have them email me what needs to be out there and it goes out.
Okay. Anything for Sophia? No, thank you.
Yeah.
Lee.
I think everybody's figured out we're still having issues with the pump house. It is the same alarm, the power phase fault. I talked to the company again. They recommended changing a certain part. I asked them if we were still under warranty. They said yes, so I'm having them come out and change that part. and
Good.
See if they can get this thing up and going the right way. I'm having problems with the wastewater plant right now, so I did not get time to spend as much I wanted on the pump house, but hopefully we get the plant going here pretty soon. On the positive side, Hudson Hills, we did get 2 new pumps in there. We did get it refurbished and it has been up and going since, well, last year. Sounds better that way. The lift station at the wastewater plant, we did get the VFD fixed. We have 2 pumps in that one again. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
And I know you're short-staffed and I appreciate all the work that you and your staff are doing, especially during the snow. Appreciate it.
Did you reach out to that applicant that came in to council?
I've reached out to him and just let him know we've accepted. HR is on my top priority of things to fill right now. So yeah.
Does anybody have anything for Lee? Thank you.
Thank you.
Candace,
I don't have anything.
Lisa,
No.
Maria,
Nothing.
Joe, Sarah.
Nope.
I would just like to say that I know we are down a lot of staff, but Hudson is in a really good place. We really are. We actually are one of the few towns around that has money. We are set to grow. And I think with the people that we have in place now and the help that we're getting, we are going to come out stronger and we're going to be a really great town. Yes, people are still going to, bitch and complain, but that's what people do. And I think we're going to get through this all and do really great. And I really expect to see great things going on here. So thank you all of you for sticking around. Well, some of you. Oh, for the help that you've done. You've done a lot, Jay, and I really appreciate it. But I really, really appreciate everybody, all the employees, all of the council, all of the planning commission. Oh, I guess he's not here. And we're going to rock 2022. And I don't mean hitting each other over the head with one. Okay, and I think that's all I have. Do we need to do a swearing in or no?
For me? Oh, yes.
Yes,
We're
she's
done.
done.
She's already done. Okay. Then we come to citizens' comments again. Anybody wishing to address the council on anything that was not already brought up on tonight's meeting may do so at this time. Let the record show that there's nobody coming up or talking. And on that, meeting is adjourned at 7:26. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.